All right, everybody, this will be a warning to all politicians and running for president 2024, part 91. Just a follow-up to the previous. In order for us all to live in a society where we can live in peace, work, raise our families, and look for solutions to problems in our society in a peaceful, intelligent, logical manner. You know, a society has to have structure to it. It has to have organization. And it has to have people in authority, like police. Because without that structure, without that organization, and without police, you're going to have chaos. You're going to have the crumbling of society. It's unfortunate we live in a world where we need police. Because without them, then it just becomes, gang or clan mentality. The strong and the violent in our communities would take over. You can't have a functioning city, town, nation, anything without some rules and structure to which we all agree to and live by. And you also need, if there's something that is unfair, a system where those things can be addressed. And we have that. We have politicians and stuff. A lot of them, instead of doing what's right, pander for votes and pass laws, or they get rid of laws that they shouldn't. Like legalizing marijuana. And encouraging welfare. And this demonizing of police right now. Jumping on the bandwagon. Just like the lawyers who are jumping on these cases, like that one up there in Wisconsin. News media is there for all of that. They're not presenting any facts, but they'll listen to this lawyer, make it as dramatic and everything as possible. It seems that we have a whole generation of people who have raised their children to disregard the police. The police are the man. They're part of Whitey's world. Instead of teaching their children to obey authority, to understand the officer's just trying to do his job, and if you're in the right or whatever, it doesn't matter how much you argue with the cop there on the spot. Can cops be wrong and arrest the wrong person, this and that? Yes, they can. But it's just like the same out here on the road. You're not going to win an argument with a cop on the side of the road. There's a process. You go to court, you want to fight your ticket. You're not going to fight it with the cop on the side of the road. All you're going to do is make things worse. And it's the same thing. If there's a situation, the police have to respond to a call, they go to that call, and you're all gathered around flapping your gums, screaming at the cop, calling them names and everything, you're not making it any better. It's not like the cop's going to say, oh, okay, you're all right, and just leave. Number one, they can't. They swore an oath to uphold their duty. Number two, because everyone's lawsuit happy, if an officer doesn't do his job, then you're going to sue them for not not handling the situation. If they're there and there's somebody they should arrest and they don't arrest that person and they go away and then that person hurts somebody, shoots somebody, or does something, then you're gonna sue the cops over that too. They're damned if they do, damned if they don't. It is one of the hardest jobs in the country. Why are you making it harder? Why are you making every situation worse? It's because the way you were raised. You don't have any common sense. None. Let's go out here and scream and yell and act the fool and everything at the police. And I can remember back in the 80s and even in the late 70s with all the drugs and everything and the crack and all that crap that were in the black neighborhoods and stuff. Countless times watching the news where people said, well, the police don't come down here. They don't come down here. They don't come. There's not enough black officers. So they got black officers. They started patrolling those neighborhoods and stuff. People wanted them there. And then next thing you know, you got this whole next generation. We don't want the cops here. The cops are the problem. You got to stop teaching your children. The cops are the problem. They're just the bullies for white society that's systemically racist. The cops are, news reporter asked Biden, do you think the police are systemically racist? Really? Why don't you go and ask these people who are doing all this crap, who have criminal records, who caused the police to be there, if they're racist? Why don't you ask the politicians, do you think the people who are causing all the trouble, who caused police to respond to calls, do you think they should be held accountable? I'm telling you right now, most cops would love it if they didn't have to answer a single damn call. They'd be pretty bored, but they'd be happy if they didn't have to answer any kind of calls all day long. You know why? Because that would mean everything's okay. Everything's peaceful. There's nobody threatening anybody with a gun. There's nobody robbing someplace. There's nobody doing a carjacking. There's nobody doing whatever. They would love not to have to answer any calls. Domestic disturbance, anything. But unfortunately, we don't live in an age, in a society. There's no place on the earth, I don't think. Maybe some of the older cultures who in Asia, this and that and everything, where respect and dignity and all these types of things are upheld. Modesty, all the values and virtues are still upheld. Maybe in some of those types of societies, they don't need police because people are well behaved. But for the most part, anywhere around the world, for centuries, you have needed people in authority to keep the violent and unruly from overrunning society and tearing it down and hurting innocent people. But it seems we have a whole generation out there who feel, no, the police are just part of the problem. They're just enforcing and being brutal to people of color because this nation is racist, etc. And that's a bunch of horse shit. You cannot do things, cause some kind of commotion or crime or something that causes the police to respond and interact with you, and then think you're gonna be able to tell them to F off and walk away. That is not how it works. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that shit out. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to be able to teach that to your children. I really don't get it, the mentality out there that when an officer comes, you don't have to listen to him. Just do what the officer tells you and you won't get shot. It's not that hard a concept to fucking understand. But if you act belligerent from the moment the officer gets there and you don't listen to him, and then you do something that could be a threat to them or the people around there, like go to your car while the officer's telling you to stop, and you get shot, whose fault is it? You have people out there who do not want to listen to authority. They've had it drummed into their heads that the cops and society and the authority that goes with it and everything is just oppressing them and is there to keep them down. It doesn't matter what they were doing. It doesn't matter they were, having a big domestic disturbance or some shit, or in a gang selling dope and all this and everything, violating the law. When the cops come, it's just because they're trying to oppress you. It's not because you're breaking the law. And the bullshit, they're not busting white people for the same stuff, or the same stuff ain't happening. That's a bunch of horse shit. There's more white people shot by police in this country than there are blacks. But you all just want to keep throwing that crap out there over and over again on the news and on social media and all the horse shit. They're just out to get you. They're hunting you down. Like LeBron and Kaepernick and everybody wants to portray. They're just hunting people down and shooting them for no friggin' reason. Got nobody on the news explaining why the officers do what they did and had to take the actions they took. And now, you're passing laws, they can't use chokeholds, this and that. Well, one hand you say, oh, why they got to use their guns, this and that. Why can't they man up? Then if they do man up, oh, well, he used this hold on me, this and that. You can't have it both ways. You can't strip the officer of every means of doing their jobs and protecting themselves. You can't do that. Society says, hey, we need people to enforce the laws. We need people out there who are going to keep the streets safe for everybody. Okay, that sounds like a good job. I like people. I want to go out there and get drug dealers and violent people and stuff off the streets before they hurt somebody else. I'll be a police officer. I'll go and do that. Make my town or make my city a better place to live. Oh, but guess what, officer? Guess what? From now on, when you go and answer one of these calls and you're put in a situation that's going to require some action on your part to subdue some people, we're going to tie both your hands behind your back. You can't do nothing. And what's that going to instill in people? We're not going to listen to you officers. There ain't shit you can do. You can't stop me from walking away because you can't use your weapon, and you can't fight me. You can't hold, use a chokehold. You can't do nothing. Ha ha ha. Ain't gotta listen to you, officer. I'm gonna go do whatever the hell I want to do. That's what you politicians do. You say, oh, we want police officers. We want people, protecting our communities. Keeping them from being overrun by a bunch of belligerent, idiotic morons who can't seem to function in a normal society. And then you turn around and for votes, get your FaceTime on TV. Instead of defending the officers' actions if they were in the right. You just demonize the police. What were these officers there in Wisconsin supposed to do? Everyone said, oh, let them go. This and that. Just let them go. And then what? See it all the time in the news too. People sue the police because they let somebody go. About drunk drivers. You pull all over drunk drivers. Should you let them go too? So you can run your kids down, kill your kids? Slam into your wife while she's on her way home from work? Should you let drunk drivers go? How about that racist jackoff that shot up that church? If he resisted or something, should they just let him go? Can't have it both ways. And you have to look at who's responsible, what the accountability is. You look at it, it's like people going and playing in traffic. And then they get hit by a car. They're out playing in the street, get hit by a car. Then they want to blame the people driving on the highway. That's the way I see it. People out doing stupid shit causing the cops to come, then blame the cops. Then blame the cops. Don't take a rocket scientist to figure out. You play with fire, and you're going to get burned. Every parent teaches their kids, stay away from the stove. When, you get burned and stuff, stay away from the stove. Don't play in the street, you'll get hit by a car. But you don't have enough sense to tell them, if a police officer comes, listen to the police officer. I know as a parent, if my son was to be out doing something that required the police to interact with him, and I've told him all the time from the time he's been little, to respect the police, you listen to the police. If he's out doing something, I would much rather, even if even if he wasn't doing something, whatever it is, I would much rather have him listen to the cops and then take care of it in the court and follow the legal procedures, as opposed to him act like a fool and get into it with the cops and get hurt or killed. As a parent, that's the way you ought to think, and that's what you ought to teach your children. I would much rather get a call from my son in the middle of the night, or my ex or something, saying, hey, Dad, I was arrested, I'm at jail, whatever, I need a lawyer, some stuff like that, rather than get a call, oh, he's in the hospital or he's dead. As a parent, that's the way you should think. That's what you should tell your children. I'd rather get a call that you've been arrested and I have to come pick you up at the police station, as opposed to go to the hospital or to the morgue. So if you're ever in a situation where the police are there, don't be belligerent to the police. Listen to the police. Even if you're in the right, follow their orders. We'll deal with it later. We'll get a lawyer to deal with it. As a parent, what phone call do you want in the middle of the night? Hey, Mom, hey, Dad, I've been arrested? Or, hey, Mom, hey, Dad, your child's in the hospital or your child's in the morgue? As a parent, which phone call do you want? Which one would you want to be able to have to go and deal with? I just don't get it. And the news media and these people, LeBron James, these celebrities and stuff, are just stoking the fires. Instead of saying the smart and the logical things to people, hey, get your act together to where you don't have the police coming to interact with you. And if they do come and interact with you, listen to them. No, instead we got to go through this whole thing. It's because of Whitey, and it's racist, and everything else. And it's oppression, and all this and everything. Really? Those cops were there to oppress that guy? Were they called there because something he was doing? You need to break this mindset. I'm telling you, it's a go nowhere mindset. You're just going to cause more problems in this country, in your communities, for individuals. You're going to get more people hurt and more people killed. And you need to stop encouraging these riots. Sometimes it takes tough love. You have to get out there and say, stop doing the shit you're doing and this stuff won't happen. Put your foot down. The only reason it's going to go on and get worse is because you're not putting your foot down. You're not saying, this ain't going to fly. The cops show up, you're supposed to listen to them. Period. End of story. Don't want to hear no crap. Cops show up, you're supposed to listen to them. Period. End of story. Because unless you start teaching your kids that, unless you start driving that home, Oprah, LeBron, and this, you're going to have more incidents like this. Constantly. Because people are going to think, here comes the cops. They're the bad guys. I can act any friggin' way I want to. I've got celebrities and politicians behind me. I got public opinion, even if it's only in a certain demographic. I got public opinion on my side. You cops can't do nothing because everyone's coming after you. You can't have a society where people do not respect the law or listen to the police. If you don't start driving that home to your children, like I say, what phone call do you want in the middle of the night? Your kid's been arrested? Hopefully none of us have to go through that, because our kids shouldn't be doing stuff to get arrested. But which would you rather have? The phone call that your kid got arrested, or the phone call that your kid's in the hospital or the morgue? You need to teach your children about places they should or shouldn't hang out at. You need to teach your children about friends they should or should not have. You need to teach them about behavior they should or should not have. You need to teach them about their outlook on life and their goals that they should or should not have. Because if you don't, and they run with the wrong crowd, they start living the wrong kind of lifestyle and stuff, sooner or later they're going to have an interaction with the police. And if you've done everything you could, you've tried to teach them everything that's right and everything, when that day comes and everything, you know, you might not want your child to be doing the things they're doing, and you hope and pray that they come to their senses and straighten their lives out and everything. But if they do go off the rails and everything, at least you got a clear conscience that you tried to raise your child the right way. But if you don't teach them the right things, and that they have to be goal-oriented and they have to be accountable and responsible for their actions, if you don't teach them that, and then they go off and do something stupid, then you're not going to have a clear conscience. You're going to blame yourself. All right, wish you all the best out there, and be safe. We'll catch you on the next one. God bless. Adios.